Alright guys, going on? Trout again here. Today we're going to start off with a Bitcoin video. We're going to basically show you guys how to spot tops and bottoms. Yeah, so this is the USDT dominance chart. And what you're looking at here is red is market top, green is market bottom. What we're going to do is we're going to invert it, and I'll show you guys why in a second. So this entire cycle here, Bitcoin put in new highs and USDT dominance did not. Or I guess USDT dominance didn't put in new lows. So we're going to flip this over to candles here real quick. So as we made new all-time highs, this was at the halving. This was when Trump got into office, right? This was also post 52 weeks of the spot ETF. And this was currently at, the 126K mark. You can see the entire cycle, we kept stopping out right here at this line, right? This is why I also said it's similar to 2019. It's because you're failing to actually get to the top of the band and it's just getting weaker over time. But this was your indicator that basically every time USDT dominance came out to this line is that was you were near a top. And obviously the cycle went on here, the top got weaker, and our most recent top was actually the weakest forming pattern here for USDT dominance. So the whole trend up here, you would have been on these two blue regression lines here, right? That was marking bottoms. Now we've broken away from it, right? We can see here that we've actually broken away from it. The last line to hold now is this one from back here, this little yellow line, right? That's why I have these two blue bars here, and I have this yellow line here. It's a little bit of a messy chart, I know, but you can definitely see there's confluence, right? Like these were your tops, and these were your bottoms, right? Along this blue regression line. Or you could, I guess you could even kind of use this line here. But yeah, so you're in a weird spot, right? I'll be honest, I think this cycle's over. I think it's just going to retrace. I'd be very surprised if we went up and made a new all-time high. But anything's possible, I guess. But I think those odds are 90 to 1 or 90 to 10 personally. If we're talking about bearish being 90, 10% being below making a new all-time high. So that's it for that. USDT dominance here. Yeah, you can just you can literally just make these curves. So I'll just remove Bitcoin here. But this has been the entire cycle. Or I guess the entire Bitcoin thing, since USDT dominance has come into play. Yeah, this red curve, I might have a little bit wrongly put. But I will say, if you guys want to make it yourselves here, you just pull over the curve tool. Where is it? Right here. And you would just, pick whatever here. So for the tops, you would start at the top of the Bitcoin cycle, blah, blah, blah. Bottoms, you do it or not inverted, sorry, you would do it the same way. This is why inverting the scale is easier, because if you do it on the regular one, it's like, I don't know, it's just a little bit weirder. Anyways, this is just a really helpful metric to kind of help swap bottoms to tops. So that's one way of doing it. Next one here, we're going to come over to our BTC test profile. So we'll turn these off for now. We'll actually just use this. So this is going to be a nice top signal thing here. So this is just a normal rolling VWAP. You can use daily, you can use weekly. I always like using weekly on larger time frames to spot tops, but pretty much every time you get outside of the top band, it shows a correctional phase. So, for example, like outside of the band, 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 right? It's just really easy just to use that to basically show like where price is probably going to revert from, right? Yeah, but like literally like pretty much everywhere here, it does some sort of a drop once it gets to the top of the band. This is just the default TradingView rolling VWAP indicator. I'd suggest putting it on, and it's just very powerful, right? Like you could even leave it on permanently, and your 365-day VWAP. There's your mid-cycle check-in, check-in again, fail, now you're below. So that's a great way of doing it. Another powerful way here we can do it is SMA-wise. We talked about these yesterday, 300-week, 200-week. It's pretty much where the cycle always bottoms, specifically at the 300-week. Another great way of doing it. Knowing when the cycle's over, usually all the VWAPs cross the 365-day, right? Crosses 365-day, fails to get above it. Crosses, failed to hold above. Crosses, failed to hold above, down. And you're going to come into this probably, kind of looks like January or Christmas. Like we could probably extend this out here. Let's see. Like if we were to get something like this here. Hard to say. Yeah, like it looks like it'd be kind of that December, January cross. So from an anchored VWAP perspective, what you would do is go from the previous cycle low. So holding above is bullish, holding above is bullish, breaking down into value is bearish, right? Same thing, if we look at this cycle's all-time high, knowing you're bottoming is getting acceptance back into VWAP, acceptance back into VWAP, accepting above, right? Very good confluence here, right? So this is good at helping spot bottoms as well as when the bullish breakout is going to occur. So this here, if we go to the all-time high from last year, change this to red real quick so we know what we're looking at. Oh, whoopsies. This shows that, you know, cycle's not getting acceptance. And this is going to make sense in 1 second, but you're trying to ride above it, you're not, you're breaking back into value, you're breaking back into value, you're trying to get above, are you going to break into value, and are you going to get value below? If you want to, you could even look at it, since we've already completed this sector, I guess, of the cycle, you could look just from the cycle bottom of this cycle and see that, you know, you're starting to break back into the ranges, right? And of course, these are hovering around 56, 57K. And we said too on yesterday's video about confluence there with TPO and the SMAs. So yeah, like that's a great way to start spotting when top, like this is helpful to see when tops are coming in, right? So if we look at this VWAP thing again here from last cycle, how we knew the tops coming in. So you know how we just did the previous year value study here, where we just went from last December. So for example, if we go to the year before, the highest point of the year before on this one, this is acceptance at the bottom of the value, acceptance into the middle of the value, acceptance above value, failed to hold above, failed to hold above, failed to break out, acceptance below. And that ultimately triggers the cycles over. So one last time here, I'll show you, is you're kind of getting that same pattern now, right? Where you're failing to get bullishness held above the bands, and you're breaking back down into previous year value, right? And you're actually failing to kind of hold this low. You're trying to fight for it, but you do not want acceptance underneath, if that makes sense. So that's very helpful with spotting like where you are in the cycle, right? Like, are you bullish? Are you bearish? Are you not? Right? You know, even if you want to look at the halving roughly, you know, you're starting to really accept into that lower value, right? That was that previous all-time high here. You know, we kind of bounced off of it. You know, we bounced off the VWAP. We've been trying to hold above it again. We're breaking back into this value, right? There's a lot of ways. If VWAP is so powerful to help you spot divergence and when it is, when it isn't. But again, like you can usually go. So what I like to do is just previous cycles. Like it shows you when you're getting bearish versus when you're not, kind of how the cycle is playing, right? So if you think about it, if we are going to go into a bear market, we'd probably leave this VWAP up, and we'd watch for how it plays out into the next cycle, into 2028 and 2029, right? Using these previous year VWAPs like intra-year, like in bull markets, useful, right? We just showed that. But when you're looking for bottoms and break away from value and whatnot, and it's good to use these previous cycle VWAPs, right? Like we can even go, like, yeah, let's go to, I don't know, let's do a random one. Let's go back to 2015, right? So holding above value, right? Getting above value this whole time, bullish, 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 breaking back in, ultimately not getting back above, breaking below. That's kind of your bear market, right? So you kind of know, like it's VWAP is just useful, right? Like you just know when you're getting acceptance into range and above range. You know, it's just great. Like it's truly a useful tool. So now the issue we face, right? Oh, pardon me, that's the wrong indicator. Let's go back down to the daily. Are we going to be able to break this 30-day? Right now, it's not looking too good, right? Failure to get back above the 30-day usually indicates large drops, right? You can see it pretty much everywhere. Here, 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 here. 30 days is pretty key, right? And again, these rolling VWAPs are nice because they update faster than typical SMAs. So, you know, let's say this was the cycle peak, which I'll be honest, I think it is for now, right? We could just hold an anchor VWAP from the top here and let this play out over time, right? Because again, you can see here that no acceptance above value, acceptance is a lower value, and breaking away, trying to reclaim, right? Very useful to use. And I recommend everyone uses it, right? Like it's just, there's no reason not to use it. So it's looking grim, I'll be honest, right? We can even just look from April, all acceptance back below value, and actually very big acceptance below value. And again, that's kind of where we're stalling out at, right? So you can look at it from anchored VWAPs, you can look at it from rolling VWAPs. I suggest using both because I think it really tells you a lot. But just remember, when these VWAPs start crossing, that's bearish. This here, for example, this is bullish, right? 90-day cross and 30-day. Look, that literally marked the low, right? That marked the low before huge acceptance upwards, right? Let's look at another example of that. Right here, right? Right here. Look at another example. Right here, right? How about we go back into another cycle? Right here, upside. How about we go further back? Upside, right? So just remember, when these VWAPs start crossing, especially when they start crossing the 365, that's very bearish. So keep an eye out for when this is going to happen. 30 days already through it. When this 90-day crosses, that's usually like the bear market kicker. So the minute you see this 90 cross 365, you know, I hope you took some profits. But those are very easy ways to spot correctional phases. Last thing I forgot to say here, I'm including this. This is recorded later, like after the video's done, but I'm inserting it in here. If you use Ultimate RSI here by LuxAlgo, you can see like when you get over this red line, or I guess orange, that's divergence, right? Like on a monthly time frame, that's divergence, and you're at divergence now. And we've known this, like everybody's known this. You're at divergence, right? You can look at it from a trend perspective too, where you're just kind of doing that, right? I think the real RSI module is pretty bad, but like even on a weekly here, you can spot when you're going into correctional phases, right? So just watch for this red line to cross, right? It's usually a good indicator. There's another way you can do it when you want to look for tops and then oversold on the bottom time frame. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? As long as you're above this yellow line, the cycle's still intact. It's kind of always how it's been. Yeah, great tool there to use, guys. There we go. Okay, back to ETH. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is a fast video. It's very easy to understand. Like just use VWAPs, use them from range lows, use them from range highs, previous year's value. That's important. And use USDT dominance. If you can master USDT dominance, that's honestly perfect. Last metric here we can use if you guys kind of want some more confidence is Bitfinex long rate. Bitfinex Tether, they move the market. What we'll do is we'll throw on the candles here for Bitcoin again. Bitfinex long rate. When they're twopping long, which means that this green is going up, that means you're in a bear market, right? Because that means they're twopping longs in as price pulls back to build long positions, right? So when they start twopping in, you know, price declines, price declines, price declines, but Bitfinex twop goes up. When they're ready for price to go up, twop starts to move down. Price moves up, twop moves down. Same thing here. Twop moves up, price consolidates in a bull flag, price ready to go up, Bitfinex twop goes down. So you twop in longs to build a position, you twop out longs to take profits. Same thing here. Twop starts up again, right? Bid the April lows, twop goes sideways, you know you're about to break out when the de-risks. They're still twopping longs. There's been no sideways, no downwards, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Right? It's another reason I think this cycle is pretty much over. Bitfinex is never wrong. They're the OGs, they're the GOATs. Right? So just be mindful that you're going to take profits and whatnot. you know, you do that. Don't be that dumb guy that follows the influencer on Twitter that thinks alt season's happening 30 times a fucking year, even though alts haven't gone to the range lows, right? Total 3 have not gone to the range lows. ETH, you know, has not gone to the range low, right? It's the same thing as 2019. Look at this. Ready? Boom. It is the exact same pattern. You know, ETH's not going to 10K by Christmas. Stop listening to Tom Lee. The guy's fucking nutcase. Right? So, I mean, how's it any different? Seriously, how's it any different? A little pop and down, right? Like, I don't know. That's it. ETH has to go home. Has to go home. Anytime it gets a big breakout, it has to go home. Has to go home. So, next cycle, I probably expect it to sweep 5K in the first bit of the bull market. Reject. It'll probably come back into the bands eventually. You know, maybe it'll do something like this where it comes down, it tests the top of the bands before finally breaking out to an all-time high. I'll say this. Long term, ETH's fine. Let whoever talk shit about it. Let whoever hate on it. Whatever. ETH's fine. Bid the low prices of ETH. Fine asset. Works great. It's honestly more scalable than Bitcoin. Price action means nothing. It's all propped up on leverage. Retail interest hasn't returned. Let it do its thing. Okay? Long-term DCA, fantastic. Build longs down here. Don't be the guy chasing up here. Right? The entire cycle, had you just shorted 4K here, here, you know, you would have been profitable. Right? Doesn't matter how you look at it. The entire cycle, had you shorted 4K multiple times, you would have been profitable. And once it finally broke through on its like 4th fucking retest or whatever that was, you could have just shorted the next range high because you knew ETH had never gone home. Had never gone home. That's a retest of the top of the bands to the middle of the bands. That's a retest of the top of the band to the middle of the bands. Happens all the time. Always been this way. Always been this way. Okay? So don't fuck that up. That's easy. So easy. Same thing with this rolling VWAP here. If you just turn on the VWAP with the bands, when you get outside of the range here, it's a good chance to open a short. Right? So, you know, failure to hold 365-day VWAP, right? Acceptance below is bad. Acceptance below is bad. Acceptance below is bad. Acceptance below is bad. Very important. Just use these VWAPs, you know, make well-executed decisions. Stop listening to dumbasses on Twitter. You know, when VWAPs cross the 365-day, it's, depending if you're in bull market or bear market, that's your signal, right? So watch that 90, watch that 30-day. Tells you a lot. Use anchored VWAPs as well. They're great, right? Here's an anchored VWAP from, I guess, the bottom. So the anchored VWAP here on ETH, right, from the bottom of the cycle, for example, like, as long as you're above, that's great, right? But once you come back into accepting below, into lower value, that's not good, right? Same thing, you're failing to hold above. You're probably going to get down to here, and you're probably going to go down here, right? Previous year value on ETH, where was the highest in 2024? It's right here, right? Failure to hold above. Acceptance back below. Failure to hold above, acceptance back below. So, you guys can do it, I can do it, everyone can do it. Just pay attention. Bid what's in front of you. Don't get attracted to the thought of what you think is going to happen. Bid what's in front of you, right? Don't marry your ideas. Play the chart in front of you. Always, right? And that's, again, I said this yesterday. These are what dynamic markets are built for. There's times to be long. There's times to be short. Markets need liquidity. They can go both ways. The only way they can go both ways is when they grab liquidity from both sides, right? They're designed to go up long term. Okay, if you bid, you know, poop coin 300, buy safe moon, buy fart coin, you're going to be the guy that gets rugged. if you buy BNB, if you buy Solana, if you buy ETH, maybe not Solana. I don't know. Solana's a weird one. But you buy Bitcoin and ETH primarily, you're going to be okay, right? The top 5 are fine. You don't bid scams like XRP. You know, you don't buy shitty DeFi tokens. You don't buy random projects. You buy real assets doing real things with real scalability, with real uses, with real value. And it's that easy, folks. All right, I love you guys. Yeah, suck dick, make money.